What is up, everyone? It is November 22nd. This is State of the Game. Today on the show we have In Control, Tyler. I'm listening to myself. Why is that happening? Pause that stream. Anyways, In Control, Tyler, and filling in for Day 9 and Artosis because they are traveling over to Dreamhack tonight. They might already be there, but they got to sleep. I do apologize. Is going to be our favorite Canadian in Kennigit. So, guys, let's go ahead and get the show started. What is up, everyone? Are you guys laughing at Can I Get the Beautiful Picture? Is that what we're laughing at?
What did you put up?
Oh, well, you guys can go look. It's a good one. It's a good one. We also have...
I'll give you later.
So, if you recognize the fact that there's no brick wall or anything like that behind me, I am in San Antonio back at the parents' house for Thanksgiving. So, I'm down to one monitor. I don't have any of the other assets. That's why you see this whole thing. And we have 5 pictures instead of 4 because I don't have the assets. So I'm going to be putting up random GIFs throughout the night. But anyways, Tyler, Jeff, Kennigit, how are you guys? Tyler, how was MLG for you, man? Did you have a fun weekend?
Should I give the whole story right now? Or just,
Sure. I mean, we got a shit ton of stuff to talk about, especially like how tired we are. But feel free, Tyler.
Alright, well, as you know, I was coming in with more practice than usual, feeling pretty good about the way I was playing, so I got to, you know, kind of approach this one a little differently, take myself a little more seriously, but then I didn't get as far as I would like to, and the truth of it was, I don't know if you saw any interviews where I was kind of like, you know, I'm getting really good, but in 3 weeks you're not going to be amazing. It takes longer than that, and the bare truth of it was that my PvP had like, my PvT was just terrible. Like, I don't know. I'm not in the new wave of PvT. I'm stuck in the old ways, and I'm like losing everything. The absolute worst situation that I get in is close positions by air, like on Shadow Temple and Metalopolis, and I got those against Bensky, and he just like owned me, like to a really bad in the losers bracket. And I had no idea what I was doing, and that was just like, I don't know, I was okay with it because I knew that I hadn't figured it out yet, and if I got in a situation like that, it's gonna be hard on me. But I was disappointed because, like, literally my PvP and PvZ are really, really good right now, just based off some of the practice games I played on Korea and some custom games I played with some high-level people. I was really, really confident in them, and so every match I played PvP and PvZ was super easy, but I didn't play any notable players, so I kind of feel like it's a missed opportunity for me to, you know, play...
Showcase.
Yeah, to show people at least, you know, my best play, and I ended up getting eliminated in kind of a worst-case situation for me, losing the Keen and then losing the Bensky in the losers bracket, so that was disappointing, but again, you know, I wasn't going all in with this tournament. I know it's going to be a long process to get back to being a complete player. So competitively, that was kind of the story for me. But Providence, man, that was a sick finals. Like, after I got eliminated, I was total, like, fanboy, observe the tournament mode. And it was amazing. Like, Championship Sunday was out of this world. I was rooting for Naniwa. I know a lot of people weren't, especially after events that happened earlier. I'm sure we'll get to that later. But I thought it was just an amazing tournament to watch. And I was really, really entertained by it. And I think pretty much everyone was kind of pleased how it went down. But at the same time, we all kind of have even more ideas how to keep improving it. So that's exciting, too.
So I'm trying to figure out why everyone's audio is so low. Let me know if that fixes, guys, because I'm trying to change things throughout the show. But Jeff, how was your weekend, man?
Pretty good. It was actually, I mean, MLG Providence was amazing. I enjoyed it. Our team did really well. I'm happy with it. The people were amazing. For me personally, it was a really frustrating tournament. I went into a lot of practice too. I've been trying different mindsets, because what I've been thinking in the past obviously is not turning out the results I want. And in this tournament, I was in winnable situations, but not able to execute. It's not like I went into it thinking if I don't win the entire thing, I'm going to be upset with myself. But I damn for sure want to produce good games and be competitive. And then that first day, I felt like I did. I lost to Vile State, a pretty damn good Protoss, an up-and-comer. And I don't really have a whole lot of regret there, other than if I would have finished off the 4-gate against them and made a couple different reads, I would have won this series. I started off 1-0 in that, so I was a little frustrated there. But the next day, I only played against Haypro, and Haypro's a fantastic player. I'm not saying I should have won this series, but I should have given him better competition than I did. I played really bad, and I just messed up. So it was really frustrating because that's in the books, that's done, that's there forever, and there's no taking it back. So what I'm just reminding myself now is the next event, I need another shot to better. That's just what I'm going to try to do. So, I'm going to watch. Let's watch Haypro try to open the answer this door with it. Can you guys see him?
Barely, yeah. They can see the dog.
He's got 2 dogs to hold back. Someone knocked like a neighbor or something. Oh, he ordered a pizza. Okay, sorry. He's going to have to chase the dogs now because we're running out the street. Same thing as Tyler. I went into fanboy mode. I was really excited.
Jeff, it seems we've lost your mic for some reason, and I don't know why. But we can't hear anything you're saying. That's... Oh, cool. There's a problem with this call. I don't know why. We'll try to get it back as...
Sorry.
There we go. I think they're back.
Sorry.
It was everyone that dropped, so...
Worst state of the game ever!
I guess so.
No, I'm just kidding. That's what someone said, though. I was like...
Yeah.
I love our fans.
I apologize, guys. The parents' internet is not up to snuff, apparently, for state of the game. But we're back,
McDaniel's killing the esports.
Yeah, McDaniel's are killing the esports. Anyways, you were finishing. We heard everything up until you turned around once again.
I was just watching the dogs give Striker a hard time at the door. But basically, when I got knocked out, which was really disappointing in the way that I was knocked out because of my play, I became a... same thing as Tyler. I loved watching the event. It was really cool seeing Naniwa defy the odds. Some really exciting matches. Leenock is quite possibly the most adorable human being on the entire planet.
Isn't he? He really is.
It's hard to not come off like some kind of, I don't know, weirdo or something like that, but he's actually so adorable. He just kind of like marches around with a big smile. So he's like, "Sorry, friend, okay." He like just scuttles over and plays. It's pretty awesome. So I was happy for him.
Now, Kennigit, how was your weekend? Kind of on the other side of things. Obviously, you're not a player or anything like that, but you were talking to Sundance. I know you did a bunch of interviews around the place, and just in general, what was MLG like for you this past weekend?
It was really long and tiring, but a ton of fun. If the venue had been larger, I would have said that it was the best event of the year. I think venue-wise and crowd-wise, probably Anaheim or Columbus was the best. But as far as performances and excitement, that this was an amazing event. When Ken and Victor and I and other staff go, we kind of wear a few hats as far as doing stuff with players and doing content on TL. So yeah, in general, it was really busy, but we got a lot accomplished.
Now, what came out of the interview with Sundance? I haven't had a chance to watch it. I know a lot of people have watched it, but for those who haven't, I guess a quick tease, were there any big points in that interview?
You cut out right at the end of your question, sorry.
Oh, were there any big points within the interview? I have no idea why the sound quality is so bad here.
Not really. I was hoping he would have talked a bit more about the 2012 stuff, but they just weren't prepared at all to make any announcements or anything. I think it's probably going to be closer to the end of the year. I was guessing that they would use Providence as a platform to start announcing things, but it wasn't the case. So it was basically just about everything that happened in 2012 and where he saw it going. And he's a really articulate guy, so he's a pretty easy interview. And to be fair, I got a lot of praise for the Dustin Browder one and this one, but when they have talking points and they're prepared, you can ask a simple question and you can get a reply that's really well worded. But yeah, it was good, and I encourage everyone to watch it if you haven't, because he says a lot of interesting points. He talked about females in StarCraft and sex dolls, that sort of thing. And he had some good points on that, which I liked. But yeah, other than that, it wasn't nothing, no big shockers or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about Leenock, and then I think we'll throw it to a commercial break if things haven't fixed themselves by then with the stream quality. But, I mean, no one picked Leenock to win. No one was even talking about Leenock going into this tournament, except for Wani.
No, Hotbed and Wani.
Hotbed's trolling. He never picked him. He might have.
True?
I don't know.
That's what I heard.
He's a troll, though.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, his run through the lower bracket after losing to DRG in the upper was the longest, I think it was 8 matches or something like that, taking out 8 of the, probably some of the best players in the tournament, if not the best players in the tournament. But, Jeff, for you, what was it like watching him kind of tear through all those people as someone who, before this tournament, was really not on anyone's radar?
It was just good, strong. Well done StarCraft. Like Leenock as a person, he didn't come out of it. He didn't come out of his booth in a Murloc costume. He wasn't causing controversy with what he said on the screen. He just sat there, unemotionless, played. He'd have like a little quirk on his face or a little smile after a couple of matches, but really he was just there to play StarCraft. And the StarCraft he played was pretty awesome. We saw a lot of one-base aggression and cheese. But then we saw a lot of really strong macro play. Like he kind of displayed the fact that he's just an all-encompassing Zerg capable of doing any of the above. And I think, in my opinion, those are the most dangerous Zergs, because Zerg, like every Protoss player and probably Terran player unanimously agree, Zergs can be really tough because they're on 5 bases, or they can be really tough because they're on 3 bases and they're attacking to kill you. And he did both, and because he was able to execute both those kind of strategies and styles, it made him a hard player to peg. So I don't know. He did amazing work. If you watch his ZVPs, he just kind of saw what his opponent was doing and then picked it apart. That's pretty much just what he did every time.
Yeah, Tyler, what about you? What were your thoughts on Leenock taking the tournament?
Well, I gotta say that the games that I watched him play were just amazing. I think he was definitely playing the best at MLG Providence, so I was happy that he took it in the end, just because he seemed like he was the guy that deserved to get it. And his control was just amazing to watch, and I think the match that stuck out for me was him versus MVP, because it looked to me like MVP was winning. And then it's just incredible to watch these players where looks like they're losing, or you don't know if they're going to pull it together, and then the big fights happen, and you're like, wait, like, he's winning. I didn't know that was going to happen. Didn't know that was possible. And so, like, on Dual Sight, I think, is the game that stuck out for me, how he hung in there and came back and beat MVP. So that was pretty awesome. And then, of course, his control and the ZVZ against DRG coming back in the extended series, that was incredible. So, well, I don't know about the finals, but kind of disappointed the way Naniwa played in the finals. But that doesn't reflect on Leenock too much, because he knew how he was winning the games and he just kept doing that. And I think that's something that a lot of players wouldn't do. I don't think Leenock was like, oh, it's a ZVP, I'm going to do these roach rushes every game. It was like, no, he saw how Naniwa was playing, and he knew what he needed to do to win, and to be able to, change style like that, on point just like that, and just keep doing it faithfully, and then take a series, that's pretty sick. So he had all the cards for this tournament, and it was pretty amazing to watch. But I'm not going to say he's the best player in the world all of a sudden, because we see this a lot. Like a guy wins a tournament in dominating fashion, he outclasses everyone there that weekend, there's still a lot of people that can play as well as him, and better than him, actually. So, we'll just have to see if he goes on a little streak of dominating people or not. But I think it just goes to show how many talented players there are out there. I think since Dan isn't here, I'm going to go ahead and make fun of him and say that he talks up players way too much, like MVP and Nesty. So, and he has reasons for it, but I think he just underestimates the talent that's out there and the fact that anyone can spring up and break out and show how good they are at any moment, and he kind of gets fixated. So I was really happy that Leenock won.
Yeah. Were you guys? Do you think that Naniwa was tilted in the finals after he lost the first series, and that was kind of a big, maybe a small reason as to why he actually lost the series overall?
You seem tilted to me. If you were watching his first-person view, the projector with his view, he typed in chat and then deleted something like, "Oh, you just all in every game."
Oh, really? He actually did.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I didn't see that because I couldn't see the first-person view.
I mean, he didn't enter it, so it was just like he was saying what was on his mind. I don't even know if he's thinking about the fact that his projector's up there. But I think he was frustrated. I was so frustrated watching him because he was a guy that I really wanted to win the tournament. Once it got down to it on Sunday and there were only so many people left, I was like, okay, Naniwa's my guy. I would have rather seen Hero or Haypro or someone win it. But I was cheering for Naniwa, and I just don't get it because he must have zero faith in one-base PvZ play or something, because
What?
so Pixel Naga Pixel Naga Caverns when you're losing to roaches and then fast expand anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing, man? There are one-base builds that are awesome, especially on Zelnaga, and you're down to the point where you have to play Zelnaga, and you can't just do that again. And I even thought on Shakuris, if he was clever, he would have realized that the only reason that he won that game was because the Zealot luckily saw the roaches. Leenock could have denied the Zealot seeing the roaches as they were walking over, but he messed that up and he let the roaches be seen. So Naniwa had time to prepare for it. He should be thinking, oh shit, Leenock could have denied me, and if he does it again and he does deny me, then I'm just going to lose, so I can't go with this game plan anymore. But he did it in 3 more games.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get it. I think he needed to improvise somehow, some way.
Jeff, is Naniwa the best Protoss in the world right now?
You'd have to test longevity of it, but he played the best Protoss in that tournament, certainly. His PvP was really crisp. He took out Nesty and MVP. He took out Nesty twice.
Yeah.
And then he took out Huck. So the results alone, in my opinion, speak for themselves. I'd actually predicted earlier on in the tournament that Leenock was going to be his nemesis for PvZ, because Leenock just as we saw, I never let him get to that mid game where the two-base push really is strong. And he was just kind of countering the Nexus first play really, really strongly, and apparently Naniwa didn't have much of an answer for that. But Naniwa's PvP, we didn't get to see it much because there's only against top 8 bracket. But his PvT was gorgeous, just absolutely stunningly gorgeous, just really, really strong, good PvT play. His PvP was wonderful, and his PvZ, a lot of people were quick to knock him for these timings and stuff, but he was actually making reads, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, because I feel like that's what fell away from his play against Leenock. But against Nesty, he would scout Spire, and boom, he would be going for the push, and that's the absolute right thing for Protoss to do. If you just receive those mutas when you're opening up Robo like that, you're just going to be on your back foot. So he was making the right reads. He was pushing and being aggressive against these Zergs that are actually poised and waiting for him to take a third so they can go murder him when he does that. And I thought he played pretty damn well. Whether or not he's the best Protoss, I'm not quite sure. He's got to do these kind of results in more tournaments, and I think we could make that claim. I don't think after any one tournament we should call one player the best in the world. Because I don't think any one tournament would ever do that.
Right. Kennigit, what was your impression of the finals? Did you have anything that kind of stood out for you? Oh.
Here's full disclosure. I haven't watched an MLG finals. Sorry, let me correct myself. I watched Huck's MLG final. But every other one we've left and gone to eat dinner or something. Because traditionally the finals haven't been that interesting. With this one,
should we just go to a commercial? Because Jeff
let's
just
just
put
get
his... All right, guys. Jeff, he's calling a commercial break. I apologize.
Standard.
We'll be right back.
Are we going to explain what happened?
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. I hate you, Jeff. All right, guys, we're back. Jeff,
Hey,
we're back.
sorry. Yeah, I went to that again. Sorry, I didn't.
So I did restart the stream. Let me know if there's any problems. Still, guys, hopefully it fixed everything. We'll just have to wait and see. So anyways, we'll wait for James to get back. Then he can finish his thoughts. Kennigit, put your headset on. Kennigit, talk to me about the finals, man. You said you didn't watch them except for the Huck. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say that on Thursday night was the first night that I met Juan, and we were talking about who we thought was going to win, and Nick and Dan and I were, rambling, and Juan just looks at us and starts shaking his head, and he's like, "You guys have no idea. You have no idea what you're talking about." He's like, "Leenock's going to come and win. He's just going to kill everybody. His play is perfect. He's so smart." And we're all like, "Yeah, okay, Juani, this isn't Brood War, son." And then we got owned, and every single day he reminded us that Leenock was going to win it, and sure enough, did it. So Juani's like 6 star cents from 10 years of Brood War.
Do you guys think the fact that Leenock was only 16 years old was a big point to really talk about, or are people putting too much into that? And we'll throw this to Jeff first.
What?
Skype is just messing up again.
Skype's messing up?
Nope, now we're good. Jeff, what did you say? Because we didn't laugh at it. Please repeat it.
I was saying, what do you want me to answer?
For Leenock being only 16, I mean, was the community really harping on that too much?
No, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's not quite like it used to be in Brood War, where there's this guy named like Baby who's 12 years old or something stupid like that when he major matches. But 15's effing young. It's definitely the lowest we've seen by a large margin. Vile Illusion, another guy that made that championship bracket, he was 15 years old as well.
Yeah.
And then Shu, the youngest free agent to go as far as he did, I want to say he's like 18 or 17, something like that. So the youngsters have what it takes, but Leenock taking down the entire thing before... I'm not going to make no joke there. Before he's any kind of old man. Pretty awesome.
Well, let's talk about Banjo for a little bit. Kennigit, why don't you actually kind of say what the Banjo story is for those who don't know? Because it was quite an underground story from 4chan about Haypro. So explain kind of where that came from, because I know you're a big proponent to it. Or you always followed it, I should say.
Yeah, so I follow all. I try and keep a hand on the pulse of all the StarCraft communities. I think Banjo thing mostly came out of a bunch of Reddit guys when they were watching old GSL, and you know, it was kind of done as this thing for guys who just performed poorly, right? So guys like who kind of showed potential but were never going to pull the trigger. So Haypro was included in that list. Who else? Goody was in there. A few other guys. And it was, at first, it was kind of like a mocking thing. And then it kind of just got stuck on Haypro. And so whenever Haypro played, you know, people would say this thing about the Banjo. So when he actually did pull the trigger this weekend and have a breakout performance, everyone was able to, you know, channel their passion and get behind that. And you know, I wrote all the threads and all the comments that all these passionate guys were making, and you know, he's not used to that kind of attention, right? And he usually stays away from it. He's a pretty private guy, as you can see from his interviews. But I think he was pretty overwhelmed by the amount of support he got. And yeah, I saw him smile a few times because of it, so I think it meant a lot.
Wyatt. Sorry.
It's all right, Jeff. We got problems all over the place tonight, so don't even worry about it, man. What was your impression of Haypro this event, Jeff?
It was amazing. I think the first time I actually saw what he had done, I was sitting next to you doing the interview. He beat Select, one of the best Terrans on the planet. He beat Kiwi Kaki, who's a PvZ god. He's just actually really good at that matchup. Then he goes on to beat some kid named T. Just an absolute monster performance.
Yeah.
And the part that I like about it is, performance aside, Haypro got a lot of shit for not doing really well. And he's actually one of the nicest guys. See, I understand... I get shit. You know, my results are poor too. Like, people, I understand that. But Haypro, you can't quote him where he said something mean. He's actually just a funny guy who's done, you know, great. He's just playing the game that he loves. And a lot of people were like, yeah, when's Team Liquid going to cut him? He's really bad, you know, he's just not doing anything. And all he's doing has been a great consummate professional that just wants to play the game. And he sat down with the best. He did really well. I mean, you'd hear the Team Liquid audience and everybody just blasting his name and cheering. It was a really cool moment for me because I've known Haypro since Brood War. And I'm just really happy to, because he'll remember this tournament for the rest of his life. This is going to be one of those tournaments where, no, he didn't place top 2 or 3, he didn't win, but he beat some people and he made a run that he'll remember forever, and it's just pretty awesome.
Yeah, and there was some luck involved there, right? Like, a lot of his series went 2-1, where they could have gone 1-2, right? Like the Select and Kiwi Kaki series, though, were solid. And when he played his first game against Nesty, I was sitting beside Wani, and you know, it was kind of an easy to make criticism against Haypro because it seemed so obvious that Nesty would just win. So Wani was saying things like, "Oh, he's too slow. You know, he's too slow as a player. He needs to be faster if he wants to beat Nesty." And then literally in front of our eyes, Hater just rolls right over him. And Hoppy was standing behind me and Victor, and we just couldn't believe what we were witnessing. And before Haypro started playing, you know, we were trying to pump him up a little bit. We were telling him how, you know, all the pressure that was on ST right now because of his games against Naniwa in Code, and then the night before, and that, you know, he's in this mental state where he's really vulnerable right now, and if you can capitalize on that, then it's all you. And because he was on such a run already from Illusion, Select, and Kiwi Kaki, I think after his first game where he just all in, he was at a point where it was like, well, I'll just do whatever. I'll just play and see how I do, and he just outplayed him and won. And even in his MVP games, he literally said, the first game that I felt it was too easy, and so I got nervous in games 2 and 3, and that's why I lost. And that tells you what a cerebral game this is, right? If you can go on such a sick run that you think you're too good, and then talk yourself out of winning, it's pretty amazing. So he's got some mental things he can work on there, and guys like Huck who have their mental game down so well. That's what's separating people from being champions and from just floating in the middle of the pack is mental game.
Yeah. I will say that to everyone in the chat right now, the audio is coming through for me. So in the VOD and the MP3, it'll actually sound okay. But we'll do some stuff on the next commercial break, and I'll try to fix it all. But Tyler, what was it like for you watching your teammate, long-time teammate and long-time friend, really go through on such an incredible run?
Well, I'm just happy for him that he finally got to show the StarCraft 2 community his talent, because they haven't really seen it, and all the old StarCraft 1 players have seen it, and I think he really needed it. He's been working hard for a long time and showing up to a lot of tournaments and doing his best and having a lot of disappointing losses, so it was just awesome to see it happen, and it was all pretty amazing. But then when he was beating MVP, I know he ended up losing the series, but he essentially beat MVP, to be perfectly honest. Like, that was just amazing, and I had no idea how far he was going to go when they were in the middle of that series. So
yeah,
I think it'll help him mentally a lot. I'm not saying he's mentally blocked himself from doing well, but you can't help but feel better and just feel like a better player after a performance like that. So we'll see how he does in Dreamhack. Pretty sure he's in Dreamhack coming up in a few days. So I hope he goes on a little bit of a run here and keeps going deep in tournaments for a while.
Yeah. There's so many different storylines. What about the fact that Protoss got second this event, and generally Protoss performed pretty well overall at MLG, whereas for a while there, people were saying they were the underpowered race, et cetera, the worst race. Did MLG kind of change that at all, or was it more of a one-hit wonder with the Protoss players playing very well? And we'll throw this to Jeff or Tyler. I guess Tyler, you spoke first. So feel free.
I'll just say what I was going to say. If you look at the championship bracket, which I actually have in front of me right now, it's and the color-coded one on Wikipedia makes this really easy. There's a lot of very high-seeded Protoss, so I felt like it looks inevitable that Protoss were going to place pretty well here. They did win some key matches to advance a few rounds, and obviously Naniwa won a lot of key matches, or 3 key matches, and so he went far, but actually it looks like the only Protoss to come up through the open bracket was Hero. Vile State he barely just made it into the championship bracket, but from the losers bracket. And then he lost pretty early on to Marine King. So Hero made it a ways into the tournament from the championship, or from the open bracket. And then you had MC, Kiwi Kaki, who were seeded, and then Naniwa and Hawk, who were seeded even a round above that, and seeded as far as you can possibly be. So looking at it, I feel like I haven't added up the stats or whatever. I'm not sure that Protoss were actually really dominant, but just because of the fact that they had been in the past, or MLG just kind of turned out that it had more Protoss highly seeded just by random chance, then that made Protoss look good at the national finals.
Right, Jeff, what's your take on it?
They did do really well. I thought Naniwa played exceptionally well. I kind of ranted and raved earlier. But to Tyler's point, it's some of the usual suspects. Huck placed fairly highly up there. And then Hero did quite well, but I don't know. It wasn't PvP final, which I actually think I prefer the PvC, but maybe in retrospect not so much, because it was just Naniwa dying to one-base play. But I don't know. I thought Protoss doing really well. I think this recent patch helps out a lot, especially PvT.
Right.
44% nerf to EMP.
We never even saw EMPs like occur, except for maybe, I guess, Naniwa MVP, but it was like one game. They were pretty. You never saw them all event, I felt.
There were very few big PvTs played, though.
That's very. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, only MVP made it in the top 8, so you didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to see that as much. But, I mean, MC did quite well for himself, too. I think that's kind of an underdog story there. He took 6th place. No.
MC?
Yeah, didn't he?
Tyler, I know you have it up right off the
MC
top.
took 6th. Yes, you're right.
He took 6th. He lost 0-2 to Huck, I want to say, in the constellation matches. So, I mean, MC beat MVP, if I'm not mistaken, and that's a pretty freaking awesome result. And obviously, he continued his dominance over Idra, which, you know, a lot of people are quick to say that Idra's like, oh, you know, his ZVP's not that good. It's actually world class. He has a really good ZVP, but the top Protosses are they kind of get inside his head, and I think he lets them get inside his head to a certain extent as well. So, I mean, I'm proud of the Protoss players. I think they did really well, and I'm just sad that Naniwa didn't win the whole thing. I was really hoping he would. I thought he would.
So MC beat MVP the first time, and then they had an extended series, and MC started out 2-1. And I was watching this. This was on the main stage, and MVP just 3-0'd him to make it 4-2. And it was some sick domination. So I want to catch up on the first 3 games that were played, but the second 3 games that were played, MVP just rolled them.
Yeah. I mean, for you guys, instead of me just kind of going through all the storylines, what was your favorite event / player / run a player had / anything from this past weekend? We'll just kind of go around. Jeff?
I mean, my 2 big storylines would be the underdogs doing really, really well. I said his name earlier, Vile Illusion making as far as he did. I don't necessarily consider Leenock an underdog, but certainly he was not the Korean that everyone was mentioning. Everyone was talking about Nefty and MVP, and MVP even made it to that top 8. Nefty was denied even top 8 in this tournament. That just doesn't happen. I mean, in the GS on a regular basis, that guy in his worst tournament is in the top 8 usually. So, pretty cool as far as underdogs go. I mean, we could spend a whole show talking about them, but I think we mentioned all the important names. Haypro, Vile State making a poke up there, Vile Illusion, Shu doing such a great job. A lot of these guys that nobody's really heard of, but they're just making a name for themselves. Gator took out Gonzi. I mean, Jesus.
That's pretty crazy.
The guy makes it a business in every single tournament to turn out amazing results. And I hope people go through those brackets and look at those little storylines, because there's no 7-hour state-of-the-game extravaganza that could actually possibly do justice to all this. But you don't have to win a tournament to have an amazing tournament. I think Gator's a pretty good example of that. He lost to really good players, but he beat some damn good players. And he does that on a regular basis. He just took second in the NASL Open Invitational to Thorzane. He's one of those really underrated great players. And then the other storyline for me would be Naniwa. Naniwa went to Korea. His days have been disappointing, so people are quick to kind of doing that thing where they start questioning again. They're like, well, Korea's not doing that much for him. But then he comes to MLG, he wins the Global Invitational. I mean, if you look at a 4-man tournament, Idra, Naniwa, MVP, Nestea, who the fuck thinks it's going to be Naniwa defeating MVP then Nestea? And you know what? It could have been Naniwa, Idra. Idra should have beat Nestea in that. He was ahead in those games. Like, that's crazy results that we saw there. And then he goes on in the tournament. He acted a little bit, and Nestea got upset and was like, I'm going to murder you, and then still smashed. To me, that's just absolutely incredible. So Nani was my hero for that tournament. I'm pretty happy with his results.
Yeah. I was actually incredibly happy with the start of Friday night. I think that was probably the best way we could have started. I could not ask for better games in all 3 series. Idra Nestea was incredible. And then, of course, like you said, Naniwa MVP, and then the grand finals was something that set the stage for a lot of drama that week, which we'll eventually get to. But Tyler, what was your top storyline or top 2 storylines from this past weekend?
I'm just going to go ahead and say it was Naniwa, including the Global Invitational, because I just didn't see it happening. And he hasn't been in Korea that long, and he just gotten owned in, what, Code A was it? I think he was in
Yeah,
Code
like
A.
a week ago.
Yeah.
Epic's so lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was kind of another one of those stories, a foreigner is struggling in Korea. Is it ever going to pay off? Is he ever going to do anything good? Or is he just going to fizzle out? And I think he was even thinking the same thing. I talked to him a little bit, and it's tough to lose so early on like that. Even in GSL Code A, you want to get in some big wins for everyone to see and show off how good you are, and he was a bit sad. And, I mean, we all know his results, so the way it turned out, even though he lost the finals, he just got in so many good series that everyone got to see. So that was my storyline.
All right.
Yeah.
Kennigit, what were yours?
I mean, as impressive as Naniwa's at play and performance was, going into it, I'd said that like if Idra, Huck, or Naniwa took it, I wouldn't be that impressed just because of their placement in the bracket and how much they actually had to do to win it. Leenock coming out of the open bracket and murdering everybody is just amazing, right? He 2-0'd so many kids. And I kind of wish it had been a player that there was a little more story around.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks when, I mean, when someone says Leenock to you, you're like, well, okay, so he's 16 and he's a pudgy little cute kid, and, you know, and that's it. The reason the crowd screams and kids roar in my ear when Huck is owning Hero on stage is because there's story there, right? There's a lot of drama around everything that's happened with Huck, and I think, you know, obviously I'm not talking about rigging games, but we need guys like that winning. You know, Sundance talked a little bit about it in his interview with me, but it's like, it's great that Naniwa wins, but then Naniwa fucks Slasher and does one-line responses, one-word responses like yes, and it's you know, it's not advancing us as an industry, and players need to work on it a lot. And I don't know what we need, like media training for these guys, but even Haypro it's just his personality, right? Like with me and Hobbit, he will troll all day long and say hilarious comments on Twitter, but you know, you put him in front of the camera and it's a completely different guy. So even though he can have this amazing story and beating, like, you know, ZDZ specialist and one of the best ergs in the world, and then putting up great games against, you know, arguably the best player in the world, MVP, it's hard to use that ammunition because he can't articulate or doesn't have the presentation. So
Naniwa, Haypro, and just about any of the suite might be the worst interview lineup you could actually line up for a show.
Yeah.
And I'm not. These are my friends, people. But
Yeah.
Kennigit makes the point that it has to be echoed. Like, they got to take that shit more serious. Can you imagine, like, in $1 million tournament, Naniwa comes out the winner, and at the hey, you just won $1 million. He's like, it's okay. And they're like, you know, have you been training? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And what do you think of your opponent? He's good.
Yeah, it's actually funny.
Thank
So
you.
I sat in the back for the pregame intro for the grand finals, trying to talk with. I was talking with Wheat and talking with Wani about like what were some good questions to ask but actually get a good answer. And so we basically decided, well, you can't give Naniwa a yes/no question, and you can't leave something that's like incredibly easy to answer. So even the question I asked him, he was just like 5 words. And that's it.
Yeah, I remember that.
He gives the like, middle school, like, you have to answer this complete sentence. So you go, the way that I would answer this question if it were asked to me is that I feel it was good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that moving forward, I guess, in the tournament scene, players, or maybe it's under the sponsors or the team to kind of talk to the players to do that. But at the same time, I mean, they are players, so they're going to focus on their game first.
Yeah,
I think about
right? Like, oh, we're lagging and talking over each other.
Jeff, what were you saying?
I'm just saying, I agree with you full. I mean, it's not at the emphasis. Like, there's countless. I mean, a player that can market themselves and hold a microphone in front of themselves and speak does so much for their team and for their own career.
Right.
That it's actually kind of boggling that right now teams, I can just tell you across the board, they don't concern themselves with it. It's actually the players that are intelligent enough to work on that aspect of their game are the ones that are able to do it. There's no team that's working on that.
Yeah, I mean, as dick as this is going to sound, there's players that are top personalities, are very well known, that aren't that good, but they're known because of how they can talk, or because they can go on these interviews. So
very true. I'm not doing really well right now, but I'm.
that was not pointed at you, Jeff. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. But I mean, to be honest, that's
something
it's good. It's a good thing.
You kind of have when you win when you win tournaments and you have great performances, it's kind of like you have this bag of ammunition to use to turn into like marketing potential, and some guys just don't have it right now, right? And I'm not sure. Like Jeff said, there hasn't been a lot of focus on it yet. Like someone like Rhett, the difference in skill between Rhett and Idra isn't so different. But the difference in popularity between Idra and Rhett is massive because of, just pure personality and presentation. And that absolutely affects your value as a player. The difference between skill isn't that big, but the difference in salary is huge with some of these guys, simply based on that. And as soon as players start to realize that and realize that they're not just players, that, they're paid to play, but they're paid to represent a brand. And if you do a good job of representing a brand and drawing attention to it, then you're going to get paid a lot. And if you're just going to play, it's okay, good luck.
Well, there's actually no up there. Players paid to get exposure to their sponsors. One of the ways to do that is to win, and obviously in competition, that's one of the most lucrative and best ways to do that. But if you can win and talk and express yourself and get further exposure for your brand, then you are a superstar. And across the board, you can name those guys. The guys that can just win, like Rhett, they do okay. They have 10-ish thousand followers on Twitter. They do some interviews. It gets 5K-ish views on YouTube, which is good because they win. Rhett's one of the winning Zergs, right? When you name the Zergs that win, Rhett's one of the people that you name. But I can name you people that don't win, and they're entertainers or their personalities, or they are in a slump, and they get 5 times that numbers. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's easier. It's easier to be a personality than it is to win tournaments. So you're actually almost more valuable if you're a personality than you are winning tournaments, because you can always give exposure as a personality, but you can't always as a winner, because no one's winning every tournament.
Right. Tyler, do you have any fact
Absolutely.
or anything to say on the subject?
I mean, I agree with you guys, but I think there could be a point where it's... Well, here's the situation that I fear, is that players have to put in a lot of effort, a lot of work to do things other than develop their skill. Because in a utopian scene, the players, 99% of their effort and their concern and their energy is going toward playing the game, being the best players they can be. And so I feel like right now, it kind of feels like if you're not naturally a talker, not naturally an entertainer, and you have to put some work into it, then that puts you in kind of a weird situation, because that's not why players are playing the game, to be honest. And I think eventually, you want the sport, you want the competition to be respected, because like in other sports, in other games that are bigger than StarCraft, like real sports, then that they're doing everything they can to be the best player that they can be. And then they also do a little bit of media training and whatnot, but I think you kind of imagine that they're athletes first, and then they've kind of been able to structure around their sport ways to also reach out to the community and have a little bit of personality. And I hope that in StarCraft it doesn't really come to the point where someone, because, for example, Naniwa, I know, is a guy who, and he's stated this, and his actions indicate this, that he only really cares and is passionate about being good at StarCraft. And he, almost purposely doesn't care about other things. And it's like, you don't really want to break a horse like that and be like, all right, back off from that a little bit and start working on this other thing, because it's going to be difficult for some people, and I think some people won't be able to get through it, and then we're going to lose some really talented players. So that's just my only little worry. So, but I agree with you guys in general.
Well,
one of the
media
real big
training
problems right now is that. Oh, go ahead.
I guess I'm lagging on your guys' end. I apologize.
We're all lagging.
Yeah. I mean, I can see your point, Tyler. Like, some guys are just here to play the game, and it's everyone else's business to interpret from that what they will. Like, their main priority is just to play, and I understand that. But to a certain extent, I don't have as much sympathy with that. Like, I don't expect Naniwa to give a 35-minute keynote speech, but he should be able to hold a microphone in front of his face and give answers that people are going to want to hear, as opposed to like literally, I don't give a fuck if Naniwa's asked questions, because it's just worthless. He's very rarely going to say, like, the only reason anyone would listen to Naniwa say anything at this point is because he might say something really mean, and then there's a chance for us to get angry at him. You know, like, that's not the right reason. So someone shouldn't spend 8 hours a day training him each day, but they should pull him aside and say, hey, let's talk about, like, getting you more comfortable in front of the microphone so you can get yourself more attention. But, I mean, I don't think we should take this to the extreme where people need to be cutting into their practice hours. They're stopping playing StarCraft 2 because there's so much pressure to be a better interviewer. I just think that it's worth a while to say, hey, players and teams should look at this aspect, because it literally is taking a player like Rhett, who's fantastic, and putting him in a category where not enough people are watching him play or taking him serious, because he doesn't really market himself. Rhett could inspire more players, but he doesn't, because nobody knows about Rhett.
Yeah. And the one thing I was going to say is, like, there's this general problem I've been talking about with people in the industry, rather, about is, in no other sport would we have media that is run by teams in the leagues. Like, imagine if SportsCenter, or I don't know, it's a big sports show in the U.S., was hosted by, like, Jerry Jones, Carlo, and whoever else, right? It's unheard of. Right? You don't have players hosting shows. And it's because of obvious bias, right? If you want to have critique, you have to have guys who are removed from it. And the only time we ever get guys doing investigative journalism, they immediately move to a role at a team or at a league like MLG or IPL or whatever. And you can't expect these organizations to be their own arbiter, right? Like, even on this, like, save the game. So JP works for MLG. You know, JP can phrase a question to criticize MLG, but he's not going to blast them, right? And I wouldn't expect him to. But we need people from the community to start getting involved more, and to not get in this to be friends with Jeff and, you know, to come and meet people at an after party, but because they truly want to advance it and keep people honest. And that's what's missing right now. And when that gets better, then we won't have to rely on players to be the backbone of our media.
Yeah. I think that's a good point to end on. Jeff, did you want to speak on that, or it looks like you were getting ready to talk?
Oh, it's a great point, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to cut to a commercial, try to iron out some of these more audio issues a little bit more. When we come back, we still have, of course, Dreamhack to preview. Still some more MLG talk. I'll just go ahead and say now the IPL4 UK qualifier talk is congratulations to Stefano, because we didn't watch any of it because we were at MLG. So if you guys are looking for us to talk about that, we'll have to talk about it next week, because we'll just haven't seen any of it. Still be talking about Zenio joining TL, as that was finally announced, and then of course doing some questions from Twitter, twitter.com/ShapeMeJP. So we'll be right back, guys, and hopefully some of these issues with the audio will be sorted out. We'll see you then. right, guys, welcome back. We'll see if everything is fixed. I doubt it is, though, because this has been a nightmare. But let's talk. Where do you guys want to take this? Do you guys want to just give kind of a general MLG overall, kind of 2011, what we did right, what we did wrong, etc., or should we just move on and talk about Dreamhack? I'll leave this up to you.
I got some feedback for next year.
Sure, let's hear it.
I know you guys are already laying plans and whatnot.
Before we do it real quick, though,
yeah,
just hit on it one more time. People, we know there's technical problems. We're trying to fix them. JP's doing this from his mother's house. So when we cancel the show, everyone gets really pissed off and starts talking about who we are. But this is why it does get canceled, because if we don't have studio to do it from, there's issues. So please, as a collective, just try to work through this with us. It's not like we like having a technical problem-filled show. We're doing everything we can. That's my polite way of saying, shut the fuck up.
Very rude. Very rude.
Jeff, you need some media training, I think. Tyler,
Yeah, you need some media training.
Tyler, talk to me about what you were going to say. Criticism.
So here's the first thing that pops out to me, and this kind of resurfaced because there was a lot of new players at MLG Providence. But over the year, we had notably like some Europeans. The one that pops out to me is Thorzane, who came to an MLG, tried it out, but had a bad experience because of the format, pretty much, because of the open bracket format, because it's so easy to get in a situation where you literally have 6 or 7 matches in a row where every hour you're starting a best of 3. And, and the way that the format is set up, you might not even have come to begin that run, that epic endurance run, fully rested, just having eaten, just having used the bathroom kind of thing. Sometimes you're already feeling bad, and then you're stuck playing like 4 or 5 more hours in a row, and you can't even leave.
Right.
And players don't like that because, I mean, you can say, okay, well, that's the competition. That's the format, and so this MLG has a little bit to do with endurance. But the thing is, people want to show their best play. That's the thing. You don't want to have the format take away people's best play. You don't ever have to want to watch a match. And actually, I don't want to make excuses for Hero, but when I was watching him against Hawk, that was not his best play. He's playing really sick earlier in the tournament. Could be nerves, could be anything, but he was definitely tired. And I was just watching that match. I was like, I don't know if Hero got to go up on this huge stage with hundreds of thousands of viewers and show his best play, and that's just frustrating. And a lot of players feel like that, and players have already just chosen not to come to MLG because of that. And again, with some of the first timers at this event, some of the Koreans, I think, disliked the format a little bit. I kind of blame them a little bit because I doubt any of them adjusted to jet lag in advance, and I think that's becoming a more common thing to show up 3 or 4 days before the first day of a tournament to adjust, and I don't think any of them did that. But even then, if jet lag isn't an issue, it's still a grueling format, and the tournament is responsible for making sure the players bring out their best play. And MLG hasn't really taken that philosophy, and so I hope in next year that they'll prioritize and they'll think to themselves, is the player going to be able to play his absolute best, even in any situation that we make them play through? Because I think that's important. They're literally, losing players, very talented star players, because of that issue. That's my one big feedback.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else wants to give some feedback.
I almost wish MLG would start letting us know what the format is going to be because, as much as I respect their ability to adapt to change and adapt to criticism and that, it's obvious just from this year that if they have things set in stone, it's very hard to change. And typically, just from running TSL and things, we've found that players tend to have really good feedback on this stuff. And, being able to see things that, a tournament admin at MLG might not see when they're putting it together. And
I mean, Kennigit, before you even go any further, it's ironic because there was a forum for players to go and kind of talk about these things, and no one did.
was there? Well, was it hosted on MLG.com?
It was. So there are reasons for it, but still.
Probably the worst website in existence.
Okay. So
There were reasons that players did not go and visit, but it was attempted, and none of the players responded well to it.
The players for not giving feedback though, because like.
No, I'm not at all. I was just responding to what Kennigit was saying.
Well, I mean that's it's easy to. Well, that's not even what I'm talking about. I mean, we've given all of the feedback that we needed to on this year, right? I think everybody's come with the same points. There's way too many games coming from the open bracket. It's set up for that Halo style where they wanted to keep a continuity with the same teams or players in the spotlight, and it doesn't work in StarCraft 2. We know that they know that, but just because I haven't seen the format for next year, I can't be convinced that it's perfect yet. And I think players could probably give a lot of good feedback before it gets set in stone in December.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Jeff, we haven't really heard from you too much. So, well, we've read your blog, and I'm sure a lot of that was kind of pertaining towards MLG. But what about you, man?
Well, I think Tyler made a really good point with the major concern should be players' performance and not like that they're coming to this marathon. I mean, until we do like physical challenge StarCraft style, I don't think that should really something that happens. So I really like his point where it's like the players should have the tournament accommodate them in terms of rest in preparation for their match, so that we can stop making excuses like, well, Huck just came off of a long travel schedule, No, the tournament has you get in 2 days in advance. You're playing 3 matches today, 3 tomorrow. And I think that's a little bit about what MLG's talked about. Like, they're talking about online qualifiers for next year and stuff like that. So I think, I understand correctly, they're eliminating a lot of the mass gaming aspect, and they're just getting the creme de la creme to these tournaments. So hopefully that's something that happens. But as far as feedback for the entire year, MLG did a great job. They're just moving in the right direction. I mean, I talked a little bit about a couple of things on inside the game, but also my blog, that I'd love to see. MLG is carrying that torch right now for North America Esports, so I'd like them to not just like catch up on trends or tread water on trends. I want to see them push the boundaries because they've got the budget, they've got the ability, they've got the attention to do that. I want to see, and of course, this is not like literal translation. Stuff like, instead of Dr. Pepper going and revamping someone's bedroom with Xbox gear, I want to see a crew from a sponsored MLG squad going and doing an in-depth interview with Huck in Korea or White Raw in Odessa, Ukraine.
Yep.
Because that piece of media has potential to grow this sport much more than 5 people cleaning out a house. And again, I hate to pick on that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But my point is that this could do so much more for the sport, and MLG is that organization that can do that. Like Slasher doing, dog, shut your face. Slasher doing on-state or on-floor interviews, Clutch moving around doing interviews. That's great, and that should be filler content, but that should be padded by 15, 20-minute extensive interviews with professional-grade production that'll blow people's socks off, right? Like, I want to know about these players so that my dad, my family can give a shit. Hey, sir. Bears, be quiet. He's a gentleman's dog. He understands when I talk to him that way. But anyways, I think that could do good this game, and for MLG, than any level of Slasher saying. So I'm here with Leenock now. Like, that's good, but do more is what I would always say.
Yeah.
And just to add on to that, what we're talking about is putting a separation between content production and players, right? So the players should be the focus. The players don't need to be the hosts of these shows. So I think it's actually, it's great that Jeff has a lot of exposure on shows and things, but because he has so much opportunity to say things, people are very comfortable with him, right? So people have got past that, whoa, it's a control thing, and they feel they can just go up and tell him, how they feel about him or how they feel about his opinions. So ideally we have, Shibby or, like you said, Clutch going to a house, and then there's at least that degree of separation. And you see it in every other sport and every other medium is, Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't host a show talking about a movie, people come to him and then they present it for him, and he's in the spot. And that's what's being done wrong right now. But yeah, what Jeff said, I think is nails it on the head. Is if you're going to do this content production with a big budget, putting that focus on the players is exactly where to go.
I mean, I think too one of the problems MLG faces, but StarCraft faces much more stringently, is that it's an alienating game. You can't necessarily just look at a screen, see StarCraft, and appreciate what's going on there. But if you know the players behind the game,
yep.
I don't care if I'm a 45-year-old father who brought his 15-year-old son to this event or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can start to go, wow, that's okay, cool. Like, you showed that 2005 WCG interview with, or not interview, but the video of Artosis, the passion he exudes, and then the devastation on his face when he loses.
Yeah.
That emotion, it transcends gaming. I care about what that guy does within that field. When I watch the next match that Artosis plays, I don't need to know the details of an Artosis pylon, but I am playing that match against his rival and go, holy shit, I need to see if he overcomes him this time because I care about it now.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff is going to connect the people that the on-the-floor interview never could.
Yeah, and like the perfect example of that is I can't really watch football. I have a hard time keeping up because there's so many matches. Every single season I watch Hard Knocks, and I start to love a team that they're featuring. I'm like, wow, these guys are really cool. And when they did the Bengals, I finally learned about Victor, and I was like, oh my god, who is this guy, right? And then watched a couple games, and then turned off later on. But that sort of content is what brings people in. When you can attach yourself to someone's personality, then you'll tune into what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to kind of wrap up on. I feel bad we didn't even mention the whole Nesty and Naniwa thing. Has that been talked to death? Do we need to bring that up?
I don't think so. I mean, I think everyone knows about it, right? And
well, I mean,
can we talk about Huck's gateway cancel, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked.
Is that us talking about it? Yeah, that sucked, and then moving on.
There's nothing much to say about it, really. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I just can't work the upgrade, and then he had Guardian Shield open the door.
Yeah. Well, I guess we shouldn't. I think, Jeff, you actually summed it up pretty well. If you can actually rehash what you said in the interview that we did on stream about the Nesty and Naniwa conflict, I think that's a good way to just kind of squash everything and then just move on. Because we will get shit if we don't talk about it.
Well, just to reiterate, I mean, a lot of people, and actually Tyler touched on this earlier when we talked about interviews with players, Naniwa is a mother-shitting player first, man. That's all he cares about. He wants to win, win, win. If you ever doubt that second, look at the way he acted at the EU BlizzCon Invitational when he took second place, winning a huge cash prize. He's getting sent to BlizzCon. He lost to Rhett, a phenomenal player. There's nothing to be ashamed of, but he was beside himself with anger. He was borderline manic insane with how upset he was that he lost, and it's because anything short of total victory for him is the biggest disappointment. So when that guy is saying getting emotional, I'm not asking for a free pass because I don't think that's responsible, but certainly take into account that this is a guy that is there to win and play first, and any time like weird stuff's happening and he's getting frazzled, the stuff that's produced from that should be forgivable from him specifically. And if we as a community can know these things about one of our best players like Naniwa and still want to crucify him and shit all over him, then I think it's a shame for us as a community because he's one of our champions. He's one of our best horses in any race he goes in. So again, I'm not asking for a free walk, but what I am saying, or a free pass, but what I am saying is give the guy a break. Let's not boo him across the board. Let's not call for his head. Hopefully he learns and does better in the future, but he's a player first.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to hold it up. Tyler or James, do you guys want to add anything to that, or should we just kind of move on?
That's good.
That's good. Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on. Joined now by Barristan the Bold, and talk about. But yeah, hopefully he doesn't start barking into the mic. Let's talk about Dreamhack, which will be starting here in. Is it starting tomorrow? Is that when it starts? It's soon. But
very soon, Dave.
I want to say Thursday. I think it's Thursday.
Yeah. Well, this is the reason why Day 9 and Artosis are not here, because they will be traveling, or already have traveled to Sweden. But the groups were released, so that's kind of what we'll go through and talk about. I'll link them to you guys here in the chat, as well as in the stream chat, so you can follow along. But a lot of groups here. I guess instead of just going through one by one, we'll just talk about some of the bigger ones. And right off the bat, here as I'm kind of scrolling down, they're actually pretty well spread out, it looks like. There's nothing really... maybe Group I, Naniwa, Happy, BCQT, and Ciara is kind of stacked. J has 2 Team Liquid guys, so you can't be happy about that. Kennigit, Hero, and TLO. With Satini and
well, actually, in
Seaplo.
general, I'm pretty happy with the groups. If you look at how they could have gone,
Yeah.
I mean, all of our guys. I mean, there's no Koreans in their groups except for Hero, TLO, and they were spread out within those 2. And I mean, like Rhett's group is good. He can win that. And even Haypro, his group. I mean, just based on his performance this week, I think he can win it. And it's too advanced, right? It goes from 64-32 the next day.
Yeah, it goes into another group stage.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it when they released it, and yeah, they look pretty good for us.
I thought there was one group of two TL guys in there. Am I not mistaken?
There is,
yeah. There is. It's Hero,
Hero, TLO, Satini, and
but
Seaplo.
like Satini and Sayplo.
Sayplo or Seaplo?
Seaplo, yeah. And
that one's kind of for a for a TLO. Satini is actually really good. He's deceivingly good. Because I'm just going to count TLO out against Hero. Yeah, that's nothing against TLO. It's just that Hero is one of the best players on the planet, in my opinion. So that's kind of a tough draw. If you can get past Satini, though, and frickin' TLO Zerg, man, he's been playing good.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Group K is Chef, Todd, Momo, and Fuzzer. Chef should probably take that. I would say easily, getting out of Group K.
I think Todd's getting pretty good, though.
Todd's sick.
Yeah.
Todd's sick.
He's getting...
And I would
okay.
say the Protosses people should look out for, aside from the very obvious favorites. I would say Sase, Elfie, Todd, and then keep looking at Grubby, because Grubby just keeps getting better and better. And so I am really looking forward to this tournament to reevaluate Grubby and Todd, you know, because those are the big Warcraft 3 players that I don't know as well.
Yeah.
From my StarCraft 1 history, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them, especially if they had 2 Zergs play. Todd plays Chef, and Grubby's going to have to play Sen. So those are going to be some sick matches. And
that's a tough group.
Yeah.
Bowman? Oh, shit. You're just talking... What group are you talking about?
No, not any group in particular.
Players.
I was just going through Protoss players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a look at Idra's group, Group M, it has Idra, Koss, Bly, and Jimpo. Probably destroying the name.
Man.
That's what?
Idra, Koss, and of course, Idra plus X equals drama, but I was sitting behind Greg the entire time they played the GCPL, and Greg's just yelling at him the whole time. Fucking hell. And then, like, it was one of those weird things where there's no ref on hand, and there had to be, like, executive decisions made where a ref should be present, which is, like, a nightmare situation if you're working with Idra, because he's, like, one step away from just saying, fuck it, I'll 6-pool. So you're trying to, like, manage him at the same time, but Kaz is, like, just, like, he just puts in a couple of comments, so they're going to definitely watch that series. They don't like each other, is, I guess, the short end of it.
Yeah.
They do not like each other at all.
I mean, it's kind of hard to make predictions, but I guess just I'll ask the hard question: who's going to take this tournament, or who are the 2 or 3 players that could take this tournament? We'll just go around and then there's actually not so much to preview here without going through each group. So, Jeff, for you, who's going to take the tournament?
Call me biased, but I mean Huck's got a good shot. His group is no disrespect to either of those men and woman. Oh shit! But I think he's like a strong favorite there, and Huck performs really well at Dreamhack. Oh my god, my dog just pulled shit out. Can you still hear me?
Yes, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
You're still good.
I'm going to fillet you. Fillet you, Mignon.
Mignon?
I don't know, dude. Anyways, trying to. Huck's a good favorite. prepares really well there. Sen is somehow one of the best players on the planet, but yet still nobody really talks about him as a favorite for any. He's got a really good shot. I expect to see him up there. It's hard to look at Stefano and count him out of any tournament he enters these days. I think Stefano's a good shot. And, I want to say Idra. I hope Chef does really well. I hope Hero does well, those kind of guys. But those are my favorites. What I do want to say is I don't think a Korean will win. And I'm going to take it a step further. I don't think a Korean will be in the top 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, with the Koreans going, I'd say I would agree with that. It's who? Puma, Genius, Select, if you count him as a Korean, and there's only 3 Koreans going.
DRG, Hero.
Oh, they're not in. I guess they're not in this list. Let's see.
And then there's a guy named Real I haven't heard of. A guy named Phoenix.
So yeah, they get Dongrigu and Thorzane will get the Valencia invite. MC's not going. Phoenix is going. Yeah, and Moon's
MC
not going.
Dropped out. I dropped out. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually think that's a good prediction. Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Was that I feel like a year ago people would look at this bracket and the first thing we'd be obligated to do is go through every single Korean and be like, okay, the Korean's gonna win this group, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome that at this point that's not even an issue. And at this point we're saying, oh, there's like 6 Koreans and only one of them's a former champion and only one of them is, or like there's only like a couple Code S players in there. Well, Foreigner's gonna be fine. I'd be surprised if Korean gets top 3. Like that's pretty incredible to just kind of have that kind of rundown at this point. So it's pretty awesome for us non-Koreans, I'd say.
James, you got any predictions of your own besides your Team Liquid picks?
Haypro is going to win the entire thing. Said it.
What? That would be such a good story if you actually did that. I'd say if you got.
Wait.
Yeah.
Can I just
His
interrupt
prediction
you?
would mean nothing because he doesn't actually believe that.
No. Consider this. Haypro gets a spot in up and down matches, right? Haypro could make Code S.
It's true.
What is your punchline?
There is no punchline. It's just consider.
It's a consideration.
Consider.
You shake your head, Jeff.
I don't know. People are. You just gotta be careful you don't take it too far. Haypro's always been a good player. He's gotten undeserved shit. He just hasn't gotten the results. Like.
Yeah.
He's always been good. It's not like before this tournament an epiphany hit him and he's been training and like he ascended to like mega Haypro where he's like floating just above his chair like I can see everything. He just
No,
hit
I'm
his stride.
convinced. Like if you were in the room, like around, there was so much passion there. There was like a buzz that kept him going. I honestly don't know if it'll carry over to Dreamhack. So we'll need more
the
passion.
banjo will carry over.
Well, as long as people continue to support him
Doubt that.
and cheer for him, then he'll do really well.
It's his home country, man.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, with all players going with the production that I have seen, the pictures that have been released, Dreamhack is looking to be an incredible event this week, and I really can't wait to start watching that, even though the time zones are going to make it a little bit difficult. So tune into that. I'm sure you can find the stream over at teamliquid.net when it does go live, as well as the event calendar for times and everything. It's going to be an incredible event. I can't wait to watch it. Do you guys have anything else to add on before we start taking some questions?
Oh, yeah. Does anyone know if Too Good is hosting?
I don't. I know the caster lineup is sick. I don't know if I saw his name on it though. He might be.
James Too Good Harding.
He might have to take a step back now that he's working for Twitch. I'm not really too sure.
No,
I'm sure they can.
Okay, we'll ask him. Not now, but later.
I thought you were going to ask him here on there.
Pause the show while I call him. Yeah.
That's what I thought was happening. I was like,
No.
I don't think we could do that. Kennigit. All right, guys. Quick break. Twitter.com/HitMeandJP will take some questions after this and wrap this terrible technical flawed show up. So we'll be right back. We'll see you guys then. Alright guys, welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that weird music that I chose to use, royalty-free stuff. I apologize, it's quite depressing. Let's take some questions. Twitter.com/hitmejp. Let's see. Zerg did exceptional, or from IW Raven, he said, Zerg did exceptional. Protoss improved at Providence. 15 Korean Terrans showed up, yet only one MVP finished top 8. What gives? Jeff, Tyler?
I mean, Tyler kind of talked about this earlier in terms of seeded players, seeded Protoss players doing quite well. I mean, Protoss players have just been doing a lot better recently. I think the metagame shifted quite nicely, but also this recent patch, PvT is much more accessible. The upgrades in general are just kind of a nice, subtle buff. A lot of Protoss players were already playing like passive two-forged play. But then also, I think Kaki kind of popularized the strength of the Mothership and Vortex in the late stages of PvZ, and it's got Zergs running scared a little bit. So, I mean, just Protoss in general doing a little bit
Yep.
better. But Zerg, I mean, I just would never take one tournament and run wild with those results. Still, in the GSL, Terrans are doing quite well. There is still more Protoss there too, though. So I just like where the game's going right now. It seems fine.
Well, after 57 episodes of State of the Game, I know not to ask Tyler because he will say that Jeff has it covered. Let's move on and ask Tyler a question. Someone wants to know from Benny Manning. Do you think with your newfound motivation and practice hours for StarCraft 2, you would change your ID to Liquid Noni, or is Liquid Tyler here to stay?
It's possible I could change. I think I'd be okay with either. I think I'm kind of in a lucky situation to be a player who could change their name. And I know a lot of people want me to, so it could happen, but I'm not planning on it right now. It's a possibility, though.
Had you considered maybe like Cute Angel or...
It's a good one. I like that one.
Windy Princess or anything like that? Could we see Liquid
Those are
Princess
nice.
someday?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
From TCon359, he says, for everyone, do you think that some league or community like MLG or Team Liquid can grow in the future to become the regulator of StarCraft 2? Is that going down the wrong path? I'll kind of change the question a little bit. James, you shook your head.
I said I was nodding in that that's going down the wrong path.
Yeah, I mean, why so? I guess kind of flesh that out so people understand a little bit better.
Well, because I mean, Team Liquid is a team, and Team Liquid deals with all of these leagues on a on like a business level. So obviously, we're not the right person to be, the arbiter for these leagues. The community does to some degree have a responsibility, but I don't mean in just a general sense. Like, we need a few really good, strong, motivated leaders to take charge of that. And ideally they're experienced somehow in esports. We're in this really weird position where we're just at the stage where money is starting to become involved, and that's the primary motivator for most people. If I can work for free on monitoring leagues, or I get a job with EG, player managing, I'm probably going to do the latter, right? It's going to make my life easier. So we're not quite there yet, but yes, we do need some moderation of leagues and of teams and of the community as a whole.
I think you're more likely to see a players union and then a team union than you would ever see like a community website running things.
Right.
I think that would be... I agree with what you're saying is basically what I was getting to. Let's see. Kind of light on the questions tonight. What's going on, community? You guys are messing up.
Let's talk about Zenio instead.
Yeah, congrats on picking Zinni up. There, we covered it. Like, I always wonder what people expect us to talk about when a team makes an acquisition. Like, if it wasn't a good acquisition, then they wouldn't have picked them up in the first place. Like, I don't.
You're logical.
I know. Jeff,
Why do we have so many Zergs?
Jeff, what are your thoughts on picking up Zinio, man? It's a great addition to the team.
He's good. He's attitude. He's one of the Koreans that is okay with joking around, and when he feels bad about someone, he did a little backhand celebration with Idra. But he also plays a shit ton. I was reading that article on Team Liquid about him, and I guess he plays like some of the most games ever. He just, he has a few nerve issues with stage matches. I think it's the same story with Hero. So both those players are like poised to do really well, and they kind of fit in. It would be weird if Team Liquid recruited a Korean who like doesn't have some kind of X factor. Like Hero plays with a lot of energy and he plays an exciting, cutting-edge style. So I get that, I understand that. But if they picked up like, I'm not going to single out any player, but just some generic Korean player that doesn't have any identity with the community, doesn't have any history, anything like that, I'd be nonplussed. But anyway, makes sense.
Tyler, do you want to talk about your newest teammate?
I just think he's a perfect fit. I love the way Victor and his cabinet, I guess you could say, pick up teams. I mean, players. Yeah, Victor and the Victor cabinet. Yeah, like just talented players, cool play styles, and personalities. He's a perfect fit, and I'm really excited to have him on the team.
Kennigit, a bunch of people are asking, when is TSL 4 happening? I think you got asked this last time you were on the show. Do you have any updates?
No. It will happen, but I don't know when.
Or you can't say when, or you don't know when? There's a difference in that statement.
I have a rough idea. But I mean, it's like Diablo 3 release date kind of deal. I don't actually know.
Oh, don't do that.
It'll happen when it happens.
It'll happen next year, but I don't know when. I mean, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing: is like we don't have a dedicated TSL team. It's around. So, like the big focus for us recently was those 3 announcements, shirt stuff, and we have a priority list. TSL is something that we're working on, but there's a number of factors to sort out first, and some of them are done already. Some of it we're ready to go on, and other things we need to still figure out and sort out. Like just an example of it, like we know what we want to do with production side. That's all easy. But we're still figuring out what we're going to do with some of the structure of the tournament and that sort of thing. So we're going to keep grinding at it, and eventually we'll get to a point where we can just go full out on it, full time, and then be in a position to start it up. So it'll be sometime next year, but I don't know exactly when.
Gotcha. I want to take the last question for the show. Someone asked me when I was walking through the crowd to get to the player pit area, someone said, what do you think of the idea that casters are the most popular people in esports right now and the players are not? It actually sparked a 2-hour conversation late at night on Saturday evening with myself, Tasteless Artosis. I think, Kennigit, you were there as well. It was a pretty interesting conversation, so I wanted to kind of flesh it out and bring it more into the public eye, but Jeff, what is your opinion on it? Because you have been a caster in the past. You're probably one of the most popular StarCraft 2 players, more so I would say because of your personality, and that's why people are attracted to it. But what do you think of this idea that the players are not the most popular portion of StarCraft 2 right now?
It's kind of a natural occurrence as far as I'm concerned. The people that cast, the personalities. And it's funny, like, when we talk about casters, I'd like to think we're talking about, like, 20 or 30 people, but we're actually talking about, like, 6 or 7. They're just the most comfortable, personable people in front of cameras. If I'm an average show fan, I feel like I can approach Day 9 and talk to him about anything. I feel like Artosis bleeds StarCraft 2, so I can go and connect with him on that. I don't feel that way about most of the StarCraft 2 players. So also, if I want to get content on any tournament or event, it's the same casters over and over again. So the players are much more infrequent. Streaming kind of changed that, but once again, to prove my point, who's the popular streamers / players? It's the ones that communicate with their fans and their personalities. Destiny. Myself, I know that when Idra talks on the stream, it literally doubles from 10,000 to 20,000 people oftentimes. So there's no mistaking how important it is for a fan to feel like they have a relationship with X persona, be it player or caster. And it just so happens that all of our casters, which again is like the 6 or 7 big dogs, they're very personable, relatable people, so they just get that much more attention.
Yeah. And it's been discussed in other places like that MLG interview with Sundance, but just the nature of the format of of production is that because everything is so spread out, it's just harder to get content on players, right? If you have them all living in one central location like Korea, TL runs a production company, I can send over 5 camera guys to the EG house next door and order a bunch of footage, and then we'll produce that. And someone like Strife Pro, who's actually a really interesting guy, or Axlab, but don't get as much attention, we can focus on. But because it's sort of in the hands of the players, and a lot of the guys don't have the same levels of confidence or need a little bit of a guiding hand, we're not there. I wish there was a solution. I think my ideal dream world is that all the teams move to one city. If we had all the teams in one city and a league or two around there, I think that would be amazing. Like the potential for that of just production and being able to develop content and stories and focus on players and stuff, it would be amazing. And yeah, it's not there yet, and hopefully someday we get there.
Yeah, we'll see. Tyler, do you have any thoughts on the matter?
No, I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I'm going to throw another question at you because you can't get off here without saying anything. Does it fall on tournaments? Does it fall on TeamLiquid.net or any of the alternative communities, as Kennigit would say? Or does it fall on the community to really be the ones to kind of support the players more so than the casters? Or is that even a problem to begin with in your eyes? So that's 4 questions.
Sick.
I don't think it's a huge problem, but I think there's a lot of room for more promotion of the players by not the players, like by anyone but the players. Of course, the players can do a lot of self-promotion as well. That's what we were kind of talking about earlier, but I think especially if you're a long-time Team Liquid poster, you've seen these posts where the biggest fan of a certain player will just make the most epic posts, like promoting this guy and like going through his whole history, saying all the awesome things he's done. We've seen it, I think, with Savior, probably with Bisu. I don't know. If you look through the final edits section, you'll see articles like these. And anyone could write those. Just some random posters decides, hey, I'm going to make a serious effort to promote my favorite player and put together some really awesome content. I think it's possible for any person to do that. And so if the community did want to do that, then they could chip in that way. And if, actual working people, I think Jeff's idea with, instead of having the Dr. Pepper,
Ultimate Gamer House.
Yeah, Ultimate Gamer House thing. Then you could have interviews with players, you could have pieces with the players, and all that kind of stuff would just work in that direction. So I don't think we're suffering a ton because of it, but I think we'll be better off when it gets better.
I think next year is going to be really exciting just because of all the documentaries.
Yeah,
true.
Like there's all those documentaries coming out in 1 year is really fantastic, and I think what would be really cool is instead of doing a documentary, if we had people doing like episodic, like if every few months we had a 20-minute clip coming out about the last few events that the team went to, and it was well produced and well edited. I think that can sort out a lot of that issue immediately. But yeah, we just need, like, I really like what ESFI World is doing right now. They go and they produce a large amount of content that's pretty short, but it's getting stuff out there. And I think we need like 10 more sites doing that.
Yeah.
And we need guys like if any of you guys watch MMA, like Errol Helwani, he'll go to an event and interview everybody. And he's removed from that, right? He's not a guy that's on a team. He doesn't work for UFC.
Right,
he can ask hard-hitting questions to Dana White. And we need guys like that. And there's guys that are kind of playing around with it, but I think the difference is that there's fear, because the StarCraft 2 community is like an old boys network. And if you rustle the bush a bit, you can get blackballed, and I think people are scared of that, and so you don't have a lot of people asking hard-hitting questions, and so you get a lot of this fluff interview. Like, I can almost predict how an interview will go at MLG. It's like, so how are you enjoying MLG? What are your games? How did you do? What are your plans? Shout out, right? And we need better content than that, and we need people who are confident enough to not be scared and rely on the fact that people are going to watch your content. Yeah, exactly. Rely on the fact that people will watch your content if it's hard-hitting and good, and not on the fact that you want to become friends with In Control, and so you're not going to ask him about his relationship with Anna and how does that affect his practice, or something like that, because those are the things that fans want to know, right? And once people start doing that, you'll have a lot more interesting content coming out.
And I want to borrow on Tyler's point earlier too. He talked about how. We were talking about getting better at interviews, and Tyler was talking about how it's not, they shouldn't be spending time becoming a better interviewer as a player. I kind of borrow that point and say, to a certain extent, that's true here too. A player is uniquely, in my opinion, the worst person to advertise himself, because they'll always be taken as like just self-promoting and selfish, and it has the chance to come from a negative place. Whereas if their team or community or website is like, wow, look at this awesome thing such and such did, here's how you get a hold of them, here's how you support them, that's always better and it's self-fulfilling. So we need to see more teams doing that, more organizations limelighting their players. But then also to Kennigit's point, actually no, I'm just going to wrap it up on that.
All right, well, let's do some
shout-outs. I left him speechless. It was so good.
Let's do some shout-outs here. Jeff, go ahead and go first.
Just the usual suspects, my team and my sponsors. Thank you to all of them: Intel, Monster, King Sniper Energy, Steel Series, and then Beyond Gaming. I got a chance to sit down with Kate Rom from Steel Series this past weekend. He's a good guy. And, Joe from Monster was there. It's kind of cool that these bigwigs from our sponsors are going to all these events, and they're drinking the StarCraft 2 Kool-Aid, man. So I'm pretty excited about 2012. And then I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's been sending, interacting with my that up early tonight. You can ask questions in there, tweet at me, that kind of stuff. If you disagree with it, let me know, because I want to talk about it, because I feel pretty strongly about the stuff that was said there. And then just, I'll be streaming. I'm taking a little bit of a break in December, going to get a chance to go see my family. So if you're in the Oregon or Washington area, there's a chance, not a chance, I'll be there, and I'd love to meet up with some people. So hopefully you guys can follow my Twitter.
All these kids show up to Jeff's parents' house?
No, not the parents'
For
house.
Thanksgiving dinner? Oh,
it'll be at like a bar and shit, so.
Oh, okay.
Appropriate places to hang out.
Tyler?
Thanks to my team, Team Liquid, our sponsors, Little Lap Factory, Twitch TV, Razer. And I got to give a shout out. Anyone who's in the crowd at MLG Providence knows who Wave Guy is. Wave Guy.
Oh, that guy was awesome.
Wave Guy.
Did you see
awesome.
Fail Wave Guy though? Right
and
afterwards.
Here's my anti shout out, which is very rare for me. Wannabe Wave Guy, you suck. Stay in your seat. Stop bothering us. There's a Wave Guy. And he was awesome, and we didn't need you to try to do what he did. But it was really funny, so thanks for trying. A good laugh.
Poor
the guy was laughing too. So
yeah,
it was just really fun.
That was some good stuff. Can I get shoutouts?
TeamLiquid.net, TeamLiquidPro.com. We're going to start working on more interesting content. We had that thread to get a lot of feedback, and we've been thinking hard about what we want to do and the direction we're going to go with it. So keep checking the site out over the next few months and let us know what you think about it. I wanted to thank all of my friends in the community who channeled their passion for Hater's Spirit Bomb this weekend. Like, I wish you could have been there, because the energy just around that area where he played Nest T was unreal. And I was updating threads and showing Hater, people's reactions, and neither of us could believe what was happening. When he beat Nestea, he literally turned around and looked at me, Hotbit, and Victor, and Esgul, and stood up and like put his hand almost and collapsed in his chair and like covered his face because he couldn't believe, all this passion and what had just happened. So Dreamhack is this week, so get your energy back and we'll do it again.
All right. Well, I will just say go check out everyone's Twitter. Tyler Wasilewski, just Google it. I'm not going to spell it. EG in control, and then Kennigit, all at Twitter. Of course, myself at MeJP. Follow the State of the Game Twitter, twitter.com/state of the game as well. And I apologize for all the problems here. It was either don't do a show or do this. I don't know what to do because you guys are spoiled or something in the community. But we'll be back next week. I will be back at home, so it'll be back to normal. And hopefully Artosis and Day9 will be there as well. I don't know if we'll keep this early time schedule or if this was just a one-off thing. I know we like it a little bit better, but with the schedule, Sean can't make the show. So we'll kind of talk about it between us and hopefully have an answer for you guys next week. That's going to do it, though. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Kennigit, what are you laughing at? You have to say it before we wrap.
Nothing. I'm reading Reddit. I'm laughing.
Okay. All right. That's it.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep, we're out.
Thank you.
Peace. Oh, it's so loud. Why is it so loud?
Gotta say is it's an honor to play you, Teeler, and let's give the audience the show of a lifetime.
Oh. It apparently looks like I was wearing lipstick, by the way. I can't confirm or deny that.
Like literally, like, hey Sean, so what's gonna be the first segment, like sponsoring? Now is it like